Back up on the bench is our Project Silverback. Now we've had this truck a while, but we get questions about it, whether it be internet or even locally. So what I wanted to do was, we have a run video of this truck with a complete parts list at the end of it. So you're welcome to see that video if you have any questions about specific parts. But I wanted to do a quick overview of the truck, front to back, top to bottom, and hopefully answer a lot of people's questions about what parts we put on this truck and why. So Silverback started out as an SCX10 honcho, bone stock right out of the box. It was an RTR. Bought it, some years ago. And then we originally, started upgrading a part here and a part there, and ultimately wanted to make it into a mud truck. After that, we decided to kind of go the all-around route and try to make this truck capable of just about everything, whether it be trail, rock, mud, towing, a little bit of crawling, just a little bit of everything. And we did it. And if you've seen that video, then looking at this truck now, you can see that it's changed. Not a whole lot, but we've made some changes and some improvements, in my opinion. Now, Silverback is basically our tow rig, and we've gotten the trailer to run behind. And if you're interested in trailers, then you've got to see this review video, because I think that this will be an exclusive review. I don't believe these trailers have been reviewed, so we'll be publishing that one here real soon, but it's definitely a very, very nice trailer. So back to Silverback. Like I said, SCX10 honcho. We'll start from the chassis. Now, this chassis I got on eBay. It is a Kodiak Metalworks chassis. And the last time I checked, this gentleman does not advertise on his website that he makes these chassis. I found it on eBay. At the time, they came in red, black, and unfinished. Very, very nice chassis. I haven't had any issues with it. We've had it for years now in this truck. A couple of things about it though, like I said, he advertises it as an LCG chassis. It is a little thicker. What you're getting is just the two chassis rails. Shock towers are incorporated into it. None of the cross members are in it. You'll have to use your stock cross members. But they're thicker. They're thicker than your stock SCX10 chassis rails. So what that means is some of your hardware is going to have to be longer because it's not going to fit. And your bumpers that go over the front and over the back, and not the bumpers that, as you can see here, that go into the center mounts, the bumpers that slide over your chassis, they will not work on this chassis because it's too thick. You'll end up bowing them out a little bit. So keep that in mind if you ever pick up one of these chassis. But I'll tell you, the thing that sold me on them is all these little holes right there. All these different mounting points. Now they're there, they're on the back as well. I'll tell you why that sold me. This has the AR60s underneath it, which is nothing new. It's called the Rancho conversion. Plenty of videos on how to do that. Pretty much three ways. You can make new links with a different bend on one side, which I'm not a fan of because the truck doesn't look the same on both sides. That kind of bothers me. The other way is to get what's called Rancho plates, and you can search around on the internet. You can find them. A couple of guys on different forums make them. They're fairly inexpensive, so they just bolt to your SCX10 chassis. The other option is to get a chassis just like this that has it all incorporated, and that's the way I chose to go. What happens is you have all these options to mount your links, so there's no rebending. Stock Wraith links will work, and it's a very smooth transition. They just bolt right up. It's in my opinion the best way to go. So Kodiak Metalworks chassis. Underneath, you know, originally we just put the stock plastic AR60s underneath it. Then we went with the Vanquish V2 housings. And the newest update, which hasn't even been on here about a week, is the Curry F9s. Now, if you haven't seen these axles, you need to. They are extremely nice. Fit and finish, you know, on the V2s, if anybody's ever used the V2s, you know, the spool and the pinion can be a little bit of a pain to get in there. You know, you got to push pretty hard. These ones, everything went together so nice. Very, very nice. The rear axle comes with the lockouts. It's already integrated. These axles come with the trusses. They come with the shock mounts. You know, very, very, very good package deal for these housings. I'm super pleased with them. You know, they have the removable third member, which is very nice. One of the drawbacks that, you know, I've already heard another person mention is the screws. There's a ton of screws in these things. So, you know, you really need to be on top of checking all your screws, make sure they're not backing out, coming loose and whatnot. So inside the axles, it's all hardened gears. Front, back, transmission, everything is hardened. And they're all axial. Everything is axial. Axial hardened gears, axial universals, axial shafts in the back, axial tranny gears. Super pleased, no issues with any of them. The lockers are the Incision, which is a great product. Have no issues with that. They've been in there a while now. The links, well, let me back up. The furniture on the front axle, meaning C-hubs, steering knuckles, those are Racing, and that's their basic stage 1 kit. Those happen to be in gunmetal. I don't know if they have a whole bunch of colors that they offer, but at the time, gunmetal was the only option, which works because I like that color. So Racing, nothing on the back because these axles have the lockouts integrated. The links are the Vanquish Incision 1/4 inch stainless link set. And we did that for a couple reasons. You can kind of see the bend in them. You know, they're a great set. They're about 50, 55 bucks, I think, is what we paid for them. Practically indestructible. I can't foresee ever ruining this set of links. Much bigger than your stock aluminum links, or excuse me, your aftermarket aluminum links. Stock plastic, they're way heavier, and I did that because this is primarily a tow rig now, and I needed the weight down low. So, moving on. The steering. Now, we went from the stock steering, basically jumped right into the Savic servos. And the first one we had on here was the 0231, which is a waterproof servo. It's right around the 200, maybe around 210 or so inch ounces. Not a bad servo at all. It may be more than that. It was in the 200s. And what wasn't a bad servo, the truck took an impact and it stripped one of the gears, so we had to rebuild it the one time, and now it's on another rig. We still use it. However, we went with the Savic's SA1230. Now, this is a pretty expensive servo. It's aluminum house, steel gear, but it puts out a lot of torque. 500, around 500 inch ounces. And I can't remember if that's at 6 volts or a little higher, but it's been on here for a little while now. We needed that because this truck used to run the 22 XLs, which is a pretty tall tire. We're now back down to the 22s, but we're not going to change the servo. So kind of overpowered for this size tire, but an outstanding servo. It hums a little, but if you're familiar with Savic servos, they hum a little bit. The tires and wheels, you know, I just told you we had the XLs on here, and we went down to just the 2.2s. The wheels are RC 4-wheel drive, Raceline Octane 2.2s, and aluminum beadlocks. Great wheel. I haven't had any issues with them. I got these used on eBay for a really good deal. Had some scratches on it, but you know, that doesn't really concern me. So great wheel, couldn't be happier with it. The only issue with them is the offset was not quite right. So the axle stub shaft coming out was a little long, and I couldn't put the center caps on there. So I've got some wider hexes on the back, and that's going to allow me to do that. I just haven't put them on yet. The bumper, we got this on eBay. I'm not sure who made it. Fairly inexpensive bumper. Been pretty happy with it. The only thing when we got this is the mounting posts in the back. You may even be able to see that. The mounting posts in the back were not quite wide enough. So they're bowed out just a little bit to get them in the holes. But, you know, I think we paid less than 20 bucks. I think we paid around $16, $17 for this bumper. Other than that, it's been a great bumper. The stinger came loose. You know, as a matter of fact, it's a little loose now. But other than that, it's been a pretty good bumper. You know, well worth the 15 or 16 bucks we paid for it. Came with the hooks. RC 4-wheel drive, winch 9.5, light bar front and rear. Winch operates on its own battery. It's a 2S wireless controller. Up to the top, now you'll see on this truck that I have made a shroud. I made this just out of thin sheet metal. All it is to get my electronics up a little higher, you know, get away from the water and the mud and stuff as much as I possibly can. Speed controller is a Hobby Wing, Quick Run 860. It's their dual brush DSC. And I tell you, a lot of people shied me away, or tried to shy me away from this speed controller. I had more people telling me not to use it than I had people telling me to use it. And frankly, I don't know why. This speed controller has been wet, covered in mud, rolled over, beaten. I just, you know, it's been a excellent speed control. I was so impressed with it that we actually bought another one, and it's being ran in the Night Stalker build. So dual brush DSC, Castle BEC, Spectrum 4210 receivers, 4-channel. Big fan of Spectrum gear. I don't have any issues there. The motors, level 3 RC dual motor kit, dual RC 4-wheel drive, 27 turns. Now, I get asked, why are you running such a cheap motor in a truck filled with, you know, pretty expensive parts? Well, for two reasons. A, they get the job done, and B, they're cheap. So if I burn one up, then I just replace it. They're 10 or 11 bucks a piece. Not a super huge deal. We're actually we've got 235 turns, we just haven't put them in yet. Moving on, the shocks, you know, believe it or not, these shocks are about a $30 set of your standard all aluminum dual rate threaded shock. They're 100 millimeter. We had 110 millimeter on there. We went down to 100 millimeter to get the ride height down a little bit. Super happy with the shocks. Actually, this is the second set of them that I own, and they're a good shock. You know, you don't always have to spend the most money you can to get a good product. You know, sometimes that's some trial and error, but just keep in mind you don't always have to do that. You know, there's good deals out there. There's quality products that don't cost an arm and a leg. Other than that, guys, I pretty much think that's about it on this truck. It's been a great truck. MIP drive shafts, they're pretty self-explanatory. We've never had an issue with MIP ever in any of our rigs. Steel spur. So, you know, if you guys have any questions about any specific part, if you want to see a specific in-depth review on any of these parts on here that I've mentioned, then just hit me up, message me, comment, whichever. You know, if I even have to take them off, I'll take them off and show you. It's not a big deal. But other than that, I hope it answers some of your questions. You know, been a good truck. If this inspires anybody out there, which, you know, that's part of the in my opinion, I don't want to throw any terms out, but the veteran RCers out here, is to get the younger generation and the new enthusiasts inspired to go out and build something. Put a little bit of their personality into it. So if this has done that for anybody out there, I hope I can help again. Please, anybody, take any ideas off this truck. You know, build away. Anyway, if you have any questions, hit me up, message. Like or share this if you think it'll help somebody out. And subscribe if you want to see more. We've got the review on the KCT trailer coming up, so stick around for that. Anyway, we'll see you next time.